We are live officially, not in the Bobcat Radio studio at KTSW, but we are doing an episode from our respective homes. I'm your host, Connor McKinn, joined by our two co-hosts, Christina Willis and Gage Sutton. How are you two doing today?
I'm doing good, Connor. Just been a little busy and trying to stay quarantined as much as possible, but I'm doing good.
I'm doing pretty good, just in the middle of moving, but with everything, can't complain about much. Everything's going pretty well.
Yeah, it's a bit different, especially that we're not in the studios now. We're doing this all from our homes, as I mentioned, and this is kind of a change for everyone. We're not in the studios, but we're Zooming like everyone else is doing nowadays. And for those who are tuning in to KTSW 899, make sure to follow at KTSW Sports on Twitter and the KTSW Sports on Instagram. And if you want to call into the studio, I'm not sure if anyone will answer, but the number is 512-245-3473. Again, that's 512-245-3473. Fire. Now, our original segment was to start off by talking about Cedric Case entering the transfer portal, but we had some breaking news out of San Marcos High School. Coach Castro, the former football assistant, defensive lineman coach, and was the freshman boys basketball varsity assistant coach, he is moving on. He is going back to San Angelo, where he actually went to do his studies at Angelo State University. So I wanted to give a quick shout to Coach Castro and wish him the best on his future endeavors. Now, we'll go right into this first topic, which is Cedric Case. Obviously, on Twitter, he announced that he's going to be moving on from Texas State because he believes in his best interest. And I'll go on to you, Gage, first. When you heard the news of Cedric Case moving on from Texas State, what did you think? What were your initial reactions to that?
I wasn't really surprised. I think that Brady McBride and Tyler Vitt are, the two front runners for the starting position at quarterback for this upcoming season. So seeing Cedric Case kind of like announce that he was entering the transfer portal didn't really surprise me. I think that they're going to be set at quarterback with or without him. And even though I feel like he had some really good showings as a high school prospect, he came in and, just I guess didn't catch the eye of Jake Spavital. But I wish him luck in the transfer portal and in his future endeavors.
And Christina, what were your thoughts about it as well?
Just seeing the post and to go ahead and piggyback off of Gage. Yeah, it wasn't really so much a surprise to me. His stats were really, really good, but I think whether or not he's going to be part of our Bobcats, we're going to do what we need to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like Gage and you said, I was not surprised at all. I mean, if you look at it, Cedric Case would be the third string for the next 2 years behind Brady McBride and Tyler Vitt. Maybe becomes a backup his junior year of eligibility at Texas State, and maybe becomes a starter his senior year when everyone else is gone. So he wouldn't get much playing time. And if he wants an opportunity to play, he's going to probably move elsewhere. And I'm sure he appreciated the opportunity got Texas State to go and play, but I can't blame his thinking. If it takes courage to decide what you want to do in your life and take control and have your own manifest destiny of what you have an idea for yourself of what you want to do and push forward. So I actually kind of commend him. I'm sure it was a difficult decision. Texas State is a good place to live, not because we're from here, obviously, we're not biased at all, but it is a good town, but sometimes you have to move on, and I understand that completely.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're in a position like that, you want to get the most playing time you can and bring the most to the team that you possibly can. And like I said earlier, or like we were both mentioning, that he was going to be the third string quarterback. He probably wasn't going to impact the team very much. Not to say that he isn't a good player, but probably there might be another team out there that needs his services more than Texas State does. So.
Yeah, and the next question I will Gage, and I'll go with Christina first. When it comes to Texas State football, how much of a hit, or if any, is it going to be for Texas State with the leaving of Cedric Case?
Well, I really do believe, throughout the years we've had a little bit of trouble with things, but with him leaving and you guys, saying he would have been the third string anyway, it would have took him a while to even get that playing time. So at this point, him making a decision is really for the bettering of himself and where he wants to play. And, just because Texas State already has their players and who's going to be in the lineup and who's going to play the most already, I think it was in his best interest for himself to go ahead and just move along. And, I do wish the best for him in just anything that he does. And, with Texas State, they probably would have loved to have him, or, and probably wish him the best as well.
And for you, Gage?
Yeah, I think that him leaving won't really affect Texas State in the long run, or in the immediate, in the immediate season, because I think Jake Spadval kind of chose his team, and they have a lot of incoming guys coming. And I mean, I don't know if this is bias coming from me, but I do think the team's going to be a lot better this year. And as good as Cedric Case was, like I said, in high school, and, the potential that he has, he's not part of that immediate plan. So if they're coming in and trying to win games this upcoming season and the next season, obviously it's going to start with Brady McBride and Tyler Vitt. Those are the two guys that Jake Spavital has been pretty vocal about, and the media has been covering like crazy. So I think those are the two guys that they're going to roll with, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, it kind of feels like not really an episode of Undisputed expecting us to yell at each other across the room, because we're all in agreement here in these last few topics that we're talking about. Because, yeah, in all honesty, Cedric Case, he is a solid quarterback coming out of high school. His overall completing percentage was 70% throughout high school, which is really impressive. I don't really know what the average status for a quarterback out of high school, like what their completion percentage is, but I can guarantee it's not 70%. And he was really slinging it. And like you said, we have McBride coming in, and for Texas State, that's a good move for them. And remember when I go to practice, they talked about him a little bit. They say he's a really good moving the ball, getting the first down. And I remember specifically Coach Spavital was talking about after one of the practices, I think it was during the last year's summer, where McBride came in late through the transfer portal, and he said that he led the Bobcats on 2 straight drives to touchdowns. So with McBride at the helm, Brady McBride at the helm, this is a good opportunity. And you still got Tyler Vitt, who from a lot of people say is one of the leaders in the locker room. So you're probably going to be guaranteed him being a backup spot. But I think in all agreement that this is the best move for Cedric Case, and wish him the best going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was their first segment talking about Cedric Case. Later on in the show, we will have head coach Sean Huiet of the Texas State Volleyball team calling into the show. And then on the other side of that break as well, we'll be talking after Coach Huiet comes on, talking about Cam Newton going to the Patriots. And I got a little surprise for the viewing public about Coach Pinchback calling me out last week on Bobcat Radio. So we'll get all on that on the other side of this break. You're listening to Bobcat Radio on KTSW 89.9. Welcome back. Returning to Bobcat Radio after the break. We have special guest head coach Sean Huiet of the Texas State Volleyball team here with us. How are you doing, Coach?
Good. Thanks for having me. How are y'all doing?
Making it. It's been a bit of adjustment not doing a live show anymore and doing everything through Zoom. I'm sure you understand that as well, but we're doing okay.
Awesome. Yeah, Zoom has been I call it the new normal. That's where we're at.
For sure. And just to kind of the first question I was like, how is the family doing? How's quarantine treating you?
Crazy, but good. My son started back to daycare this week. We're trying to slowly get back on a routine. We got to go to Ohio and visit family for a little bit, which was fun. He got to stay with grandma and grandpa for an extra almost week and a half. So we had a little grandma detox, and he had to remember that whining and no is an actual answer in the vocabulary, because grandma doesn't really do that. And so started back to daycare this week. Everything's going good. We're, like I said, slowly trying to get back to whatever this new normal is going to be. I'm ready for it. So.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, a bit of adjustment for everyone here, doing everything through Zoom. And weird segue, but I know months ago that Texas State added new recruits, Delia Ellison and Emily Smiley, who's the sister of Allie Smiley.
Yeah.
Where do you see them fitting into the team, and what traits do they have on and off the volleyball court that will make them really successful?
Yeah, Daly was a late get, and she was someone we recruited early on, but she actually had a different route. She committed to SFA, and she was committed there. She said she kind of felt pressure, and she was afraid nothing else was going to happen for her, and just kind of committed. And I thought, as we started the process with her, to find out the mature decision was to take that back and not sign when it was signing time. Kind of scary for an athlete to, not sign their scholarship papers and kind of open back up that late in the process. But she just knew it wasn't where she wanted to be. It wasn't a great fit. She felt like she just accepted it to accept it. And so it showed a lot about her maturity, because a lot of kids probably would have just went there, suffered through the first year, and then transferred. And so I thought that spoke volumes of her as a person. She plays for a very high level club, TAV. That's where Janelle played. They're one of the best clubs in the nation. Her junior year of high school, her team won the junior nationals, and she was MVP of the tournament. So we had a scholarship open, and when we went and watched her, I was just like, this kid can help us. And one of the things that's really interesting is she has played right side for a while, which is where Janelle is too. So I think she will challenge there as well. But what we really want to try to do is move her to the outside and see what she can do on the outside. She's super athletic, touches over 10 foot. She just hasn't played outside as much. She's played more middle and right. So we're really excited about her. She's, like I said, a late get in that class, but a good get for us. And not only just skill set, she has a championship mentality. Her high school's team's always been good. Her club team, like I said, competes for nationals every year. So we like that mentality. And then Emily, that kid, she's had a rough go round with it. And she was, we were recruiting her early on. She was going to be a very high level athlete. She is a high level athlete with just some injuries, but she was hitting her stride. She was getting really good, starting to pique a lot of interest from a lot of schools. And then she tore ACL. So she was out her entire junior year. Again, speaks volumes of this kid. She never missed a practice. She never missed anything for her club team. They paid. Club volleyball is not cheap. They paid and traveled and went to every tournament. And she sat on the sidelines, kept stats, was the best teammate you could have. Goes into getting ready for her high school season, and her very first day back that she was 100% released, she tore the same ACL. And so she missed her entire senior year. So she has not played volleyball in almost 2 years because of her injuries. But because we know their family so well, and they reached out, just like, she's not done. She wants to play volleyball. She wants to do this. And so, I don't know where she'll get back to. I think the mental side of it for her will be really hard. But like I told her, we can redshirt you. You can take your time getting back, get up here and strengthen that knee and get everything back. But I think at her best, she can challenge and help us. It's just going to see what that timeline looks like for her with coming back from the ACL, the double ACL, basically.
Yeah. Wish her the best in her recovery. I was reading about it. I know it's difficult to always come back from injury, but knowing what you said about her, that she has a really strong mentality, I'm sure she'll be better than ever when she comes back.
I mean, again, most kids, 2 ACLs, I need to do something. And she's just like, I want to play volleyball. I want to compete, and so I'm praying and hoping it all, works out for her. And like I said, I think the mental side of that, coming over back-to-back injuries, will take a little bit. And that's why I kind of relieve some stress with her. Like, hey, you don't have to play next year. You can redshirt, you can get yourself back, really work on that side of your game, and go. So it'll be neat. The other interesting thing, I don't know if we talked about this. So when we got Daly late, one of the interesting things is, so Daly goes to Aledo High School in Texas. And then Megan, who signed with us early, Megan Woods from El Dorado High School, one of my very first recruiting classes here, Melinda Cave and AJ Watlington, who are 2 kids that are in the record books. AJ went to Aledo High School and Melinda went to El Dorado in California. So as soon as Daly committed, I text him like, holy moly, we have 2 kids coming from the exact same places that y'all 2 came from. And that was like one of my very first recruiting classes as an assistant here. And then I was like, this is basically my first, as a head coach. So the parallel there was kind of funny. We joked about that.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Gage.
All right. How you doing? How you doing, Coach?
Good.
So we were talking about the incoming recruiting class, but with the from the past roster, are there any players that you're expecting to see a big jump from this offseason?
Yeah, we need all of them to make that big jump. But if we're talking how the spring was going, some of that stuff, I thought Kayla Granado really started to challenge for that libero position, really was making her presence known in the gym. She is a kid that I have told her a million times, if she could come out of her shell just a little bit more and do some things and kind of own that position, she could be really, really good at it. She just kind of sits back and has that persona. I think Keith and Tori have really helped pull that out with her and given her some self-confidence. So she was having a really good spring. I think Michelle Foster started to really find her presence on the team and make herself viable. That libero position, I think, is going to be wide open. And I think, Brooke obviously wants to keep it. She earned it that last year, but she's going to be challenged. I think that's going to be one of the hottest positions in our gym that people are going after. Caitlin Buettner was having a really, really good spring. And she was just starting to come into her own. And I think that's big for us. I think we need her to come out of there. Everyone out the middles, Keith has done a really good job with training the middles. That position, I think they all kind of were like, oh, wow, this is some new stuff. We're learning some new things and doing some stuff. I think that position is going to be, very, very hard to see who's going to be on the court. But I would say those people that I commented on really, really had a good spring. But our spring for everyone, it was like, as soon as COVID hit, we were like, wait a minute, like this is all we get with them. We were just starting to figure it all out and do lineups and do things like that. But I would say our last practice there right before spring break, I was like, we're going to be really good. And we don't even have our other kids in here yet. So I think as a team, they were starting to identify what their role was going to be and how they wanted it to be different from the year before. So it's been really fun.
And
yeah, absolutely, Coach.
And go ahead, Christina.
Hi, Coach.
Hi, Christina.
Hello. So I had a question for you, just with your new recruits and everything. I was wondering how they're going to benefit the team in whole and how you think they're going to do in like the upcoming season with everything, and with them being on the team, like how successful do you think that you guys are going to be overall?
Yeah, I think our 20 class, I think brings a lot of things that we need. But I think it also helps us for the future. We do return a lot of people. We do have a lot, like I said, this spring, we have a lot of, when we were looking around the gym, like, oh, this team can compete at a high level right now. I think when you add in our 2020s, I think all of them can challenge to play. But I also think all of them are going to be really good down the road. Again, Megan is 6'4". She has the size, has the body. She works her butt. One of the hardest workers I've seen. And I think that helps us down the road. Can she come in and probably win out a middle spot? I think she can. Will she? That'll be a question we have to see. But I also see Megan being really good 2 or 3 years down the road to keep our program where we're at and kind of make that jump. Same with Ryan. It's crazy. It just opened up with all the 22 recruiting, and we got to start talking to the juniors. And when I started to think about that, I was like, this is the class that will replace Emily DeWalt, Janelle Fitzgerald, all those, and who was that? Jill Slaughter, Kayla Grant. And I'm like, I don't even want to think about those kids not being in our gym. Like, I don't even want to think about them not being on the team. But I just think what we did with our 20 class is set ourselves up for them to learn from this class and be ready to take over. When you think about trying to replace an Emily DeWalt, that's something you don't know how you're going to do. And then we find Ryan Torres, who I think you will absolutely love. We've talked a lot to Ryan about more than likely probably redshirting. If she comes in and beats out Emily, great. But we know Emily's been setter of the year 2 years in a row. And we don't want to waste a year of Ryan's eligibility to sit behind Emily. You know, we have Brooke as a backup setter. We have some other options to do. I want Ryan to really learn from Emily and then be able to take this program and run the program for 3 years. And so, you know, I'm excited to see him get in the mix and see who can win out a spot or do that. But I'm also really excited about that class for what they can do in the future and what I see them doing down the road for us. I think Daly will surprise a lot of people. I think she probably is the one that could get on the court pretty quick, depending her transition to the outside, but she's pretty physical. She's played at a high level. And so I'm excited to see that. So it'll be a fun fall camp.
And for those who are listening, you're listening to KSW on 899 here with head coach Sean Huiet of the volleyball team. Coach, you talked about the recruiting class. I'm excited just listening. And one of the things that I did hear that you're making connections everywhere, and it's amazing how relationships you make in the industry, you work out, turn out later. And recently, San Marcos High School acquired Jared Teo, who you're good friends with. How happy are you that your colleague and friend are able to join San Marcos High School, and where do you see him taking this program?
So awesome. Jared is a great guy. You have a lot of connections. And again, I loved Michelle, and I thought what she was doing at San Marcos High School was awesome. But when that job became open, I was like, oh man, who could really come in here and do something? And Jared actually was at TAV, the same club that I talk about with Janelle and Daly. And so that club just trains at a high level. They know how to win. I think his vision of what he wants to do there is awesome, as long as they all kind of buy in, which I think will be part of his process. But I've said since I've been here, San Marcos is a gold mine. They have so many athletes. It's a big school. Their facilities are really nice. They just sometimes, as I was telling him, they go back and forth between districts where they either go south, and when they go south, they have to play the New Braunfels, the Canyon, and that, which, again, athletically, they have kids that compete, but they're not always ready to play that competition. And then when they go to the Austin side of it, they normally would make districts and do some of that stuff. And so I just told him, I think when he gets his program where he wants it, I think they could compete on both sides of the district line wherever they go. But they're starting in that Austin district, which I think will be good for him, because they do have some kids in that program that I think could be really, really good. So I'm excited for him. I think it's going to be fun to have him in the area. He's already said I could still work their camps and do that stuff, and he'll probably work our camps in that. But like I say, you always want to have those connections with the high school coaches and those relationships. So it'll be fun.
Relationships build championships.
Amen. And we like to win those championships.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So, Coach, as the sports director, I'm looking into, starting to cover the high school team, the high school volleyball team. How would you feel like, or how do you think the people of San Marcos would feel about covering them? Good.
I think they would love it. You know, like I said, they have athletes. They have a program that could be really good, and so I think it's kind of a mix of, they have kids that play higher level club or that, and then they have kids that don't play club. And so I think he's going to mesh that into being a volleyball that they really focus on volleyball. And so I think their community will really enjoy that, and being kind of, like I said, we feel volleyball, we here at Texas State know volleyball is a main sport for us, and we're taken care of. And, you know, I think at San Marcos High School, that would be something that those kids and those families love, to have that same type of, hey, volleyball is a big program. Volleyball is going to, win districts now. We're going to do some things and get that coverage. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to look into it. So it looks like we'll be in contact with San Marcos High School pretty soon.
Definitely do. Yeah, I was going to say Jared will be awesome. I can connect you with him. And then the new AD, I haven't met him yet, but his daughter is actually a really good volleyball player and moved into the area. So I think that that connection will be good as well.
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
And I guess Christina, if you want to go.
No more questions here.
Okay, all right.
No more questions. You're easy. That's perfect. Thanks for making my job easy.
Yeah, we have no, but as I mentioned, Coach, the relationships I think are one of the important things in life and in everything that you do. And I know with the pandemic right now, really hitting harder and harder every day, I'm sure it's kind of been hard to keep in contact, but you try as much as you can to stay in contact with the team and everything. And I don't know what the looks like for training with the team and that for now, but do you have any idea of when it potentially coming back as a team and being able to train together? Is that even a possibility?
Our yeah, it is. They're coming back next week. So our new kids, the NCAA did a waiver, and so that our new kids could actually move in but not have to take summer school. So all of our new kids, with the exception of Emily is in New Braunfels, and so she will stay down there and be able to work out with Allie and drive up and do that. But the other three will move in July 5th. And then all of our other kids, they come back and they start workouts on July 6th. Now, I say workouts, but they're all voluntary. It's kind of back to what volleyball, we don't really get access with them in the summer. We were hoping the NCAA was going to allow soccer and volleyball to have some summer access, kind of like basketball and football get, and mainly for the purpose of they haven't done this for 3 months. Yes, I know our kids didn't just go home and sit on the couch and do nothing, but they haven't trained at this level, and they haven't trained the volleyball side of it for 3 months, almost 4 months. And so a lot of us just wanted to get back in there and start with injury prevention and kind of ease them back in there. But they're going to start July 6th with the voluntary workouts. They'll be able to have open gyms and do all that stuff. And so I'm excited about that. I think as much as I want to be in the gym with them, I know our leadership group, I know our kids that, you know, they want to win another championship. They want to go to the Sweet 16. And so I'm excited that they're going to get back in there and start working on that. We've talked a lot about the mental side of it. It's going to be hard, you know, and it's when you're that level of an athlete and you're used to being at this, when you go back in that gym and they're not touching as high as they did before they left, they're not, you know, their game's just a little bit off. We've talked a lot during this crazy time about the mental side of it and just being prepared to not be where you were when we left. And we're going to take it slow and get us back there and not let that frustrate you. Because again, I can see that side of, you know, I've talked a lot with Kat Osterman and mentors like that talk about how the mental side of that can be hard as an athlete, because you just want to be as good as you were before you left. You know, if you touch 10-4, you want to touch 10-4 again, but we all know training by ourselves and at home is different than when you're in that team atmosphere. So they're going to start up on it July 6th and do their voluntary stuff and get back into open gyms and see how it goes. So we're excited. Preseason does not start until August 10th. And that's when we can get back in the gym with them and go. And then our first match is August 28th. So it's July already, y'all. We're halfway through 2020.
Coming quick.
I miss sports of any kind, especially volleyball. I've been missing NBA and everything, all of that.
Everything. Can I tell you how desperate we are for sports? Last week, Keith and I sat around and watched the spike ball championships.
I'm not even familiar with that.
Spike ball. It's kind of volleyball-ish, but it's like the little thing where there's a little kind of like trampoline style.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
hit the ball, and then it's volleyball. Like you get 3 hits, and then you have to hit it. But I did not know it was an NCAA club sport, and they had a championship.
Wow.
And it was A&M versus Georgia in the finals. And when I tell you that we watched that for, I don't want to tell you how long we watched that for, but too long. And we were like, okay, we need sports back in our lives. We need to get back in the gym.
I don't blame you. I feel that same thing right now as well. And I really want to thank you, Coach, for coming on. And I want to say that as much as what you do on the court's impressive, I think what you do off the court is even more impressive. And I'm talking with the new assistant coaches. They are absolutely wonderful. This program's absolutely wonderful. And so it's always a pleasure to have you on. And we appreciate you taking the time. It just means the world to us.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank y'all so much. You know, we support y'all. We love y'all. We thank you for all you do for us. And so whenever you need something, you let us know.
Will do, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And that was head coach Sean Huiet of the volleyball team. Every time I get talked to him, he just makes me so happy. He's got such an amazing energy that I've seen on the court with his players, and it's great to have assistant coaches that are focused on maintaining those relationships. So it's always very exciting to have him on and get his perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a fun interview, and he got me really excited for Texas State volleyball in the fall. So, all right.
Hashtag volleyball school. Anyways, let's get on to this third segment that we really want to get into. It's Cam Newton signing with New England. But before we get into that, I got a little bit of beef with San Marcos high school basketball coach that needs to be addressed right now.
Oh, no.
Before we get into that, Coach Pinchback last week on Bobcat Radio decided to call me out a little bit on the 1-1. Didn't mention my name. Jude mentioned my name because, as Jude McLaren, the sports reporter that he is, always likes to put my name in his mouth. So, yeah, Jude, if you're listening, you get a little bit of this too. I accept the challenge, Coach Pinchback and Malik Presley. You name a time and date, and I'll be there. Just give me a week or two to train, and I'll be ready to go. And then I'll get crossed up and dunked on and all that. So that'd be fun. That's it. That's what I want. I just want to get that off my chest really quick.
Connor, you do not want Malik's work, man. Malik is going to – I mean, I'll be there to film it and laugh, but, like, that's about it.
Yeah.
I'll support you, man. You're going to get dunked on. But
Christine's like, you don't want this? I was like, yeah, I don't. I'm going to regret this so much because it's going to be on every highlight reel for a very long time.
It's going to be on his mixtape. Like on his – anyway.
I can only imagine the edits after you guys are done with the video. Anyways, let's get back to it. Cam Newton. That was one of the free agent acquisitions the Patriots made that I thought was a really, really good move. I don't know why it took so long for him to get on a team. I thought it was disrespectful. I mean, being a former NFL MVP and obviously with the injury issues, I'm happy they signed New England. I think this made New England better. And I think this made the AFC a little bit more competitive, I think, in my opinion. But what are you guys' take? I'll go with Christina because I know Christina really want to talk about it. Christina, what did you think about Cam Newton signing with the Patriots?
I think it's really good, and the fact that he's actually on a contract. I do think the contract is a little less compared to others, such as like Chase Daniel. I really think because he's an MVP, he knows what he's doing. He's had a lot of experience. So when he goes on this team, he's going to be competing for the starting job against Jared, but I think if they put him in the position rather than Jared, I really think he can do a lot. And I really think he puts out the Patriots as playoff contenders just because he's such a veteran and he knows what he's doing on the field.
Yeah, I got a second, Christina. Coming into the offseason, I was like, are the Patriots really going to roll with Jarrett Stidham? But they ended up signing Cam Newton, and I couldn't be more excited for both Cam Newton because he's got a major chip on his shoulder. He's got everything to prove that he's still an MVP caliber quarterback in this league. And for Bill Belichick, he's got to prove that he can win without Tom Brady. So I think it's a good signing for both teams. So it'll be interesting to see this upcoming season.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to him pulling out the Superman as a New England Patriot, #Soldier Boy.
Yes, sir.
Goodness, pulling a Mark Brown on KTSW. Anyways, no, I'm looking forward to the NFL season. I can't wait for the NFL and basketball to return. I think that's pretty much, unless you Gage, I know you kind of mentioned that you wanted to talk about Lionel Messi a little bit. I know you kind of mentioned before we did this episode, if you want to touch on that real quick.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to give a big shout out to my boy Lionel Messi, scoring his 700th goal, all career. Guy's legend, goated, and better than Ronaldo. But that's for a different Bobcat Radio episode. Me and Ethan Hamilton might need to get on that.
All right. Anything you want to add on, Christina?
I hope everyone's being safe and to continue to watch and tune in to Bobcat Radio.
Yes, exactly. As I mentioned, if you are listening, make sure to follow at KSW Sports on Twitter and follow KSW Sports on Instagram. And if you missed this part of the show, don't you worry. We're going to be on audio platforms too, on Spotify and on Anchor. So if you missed,
and on YouTube too.
And on YouTube. Thank you, Gage. Yeah. So we had to make sure we looked really pretty today before we came on. And to conclude this episode, I want to thank my co-host Gage Sutton and thank my other co-host Christina Willis. We have no producer, but hey, that's how it is. And also big thanks to Keontae Herrera for setting this up. We wouldn't be able to do it without his help, and for head coach Sean Huiet with the volleyball team join the show. And that is going to conclude this latest edition of Bobcat Radio. Hope everyone stays safe.
Have a good one, guys.